Hello, my fellow Alaskans. I'm so glad you're here to join us here tonight. We have a very lively Alaska School of Government happening here, and we've got several different candidates that are running for governor of Alaska that are going to be speaking here. The event should begin here shortly. Just wanted to throw out a couple of things before this gets started. Number one thing to keep in mind is that early voting has begun. So if you get the chance to get out and you are one of those that likes to vote early, now is your time. Please go to the alaska.gov website and look up where the early voting locations is at, and you'll be able to go and cast your ballot right now. If you're one of those that wants to have your ballot to be able to do a mail-in ballot and you have yet to receive it, you only have 5 days left, not including today. 5 days more. August 6th is the last day to be able to sign up and be able to get your early voting ballot sent to you so that you are able to vote. But again, early voting has begun as officially as of today. And now let's get into the ballot. We've got two different sections on the ballot. We got the normal general election for the primary that is happening where you only get to vote for one. We did a very good job in the special election when it came time for voting out there and picking one, and we got several good candidates that are running this year. And then we've also got the first time ever in Alaska ranked choice voting for that same special election for replacing this seat for the Congressman Don Young. And basically whoever gets elected in this special election primary for the final casting of the vote to replace him, that will be sitting down in D.C. for the next 4 months. It is ranked choice voting, where basically you need to rank your votes. And I just want to give a small breakdown on ranked choice voting before this all gets started, just so that you understand that normally there's going to be 4 candidates that will be on the ballot itself that you get to vote for, and you get to rank them 1 through 4, plus a write-in category for number 5, and write in your own name who you'd like to see elected. But thanks to Al Gross being in my opinion, the coward that he is, he backed out of the election expecting to be able to move the next Democrat primary electee up, which backfired 100% against them, which was hilarious to see happen. But we currently have 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat that are running in the congressional seat for D.C., and I'd like to point out that you don't have to rank everybody that is there. If I was voting, I would say I would rank number 1 and number 2, either Nick Begich or Sarah Palin, and my number 3 ranking wouldn't even exist. So that way, if the 51% of the vote is not achieved, let's make this very clear, if the people that are running in the ranked choice elections do not receive 51% of the vote, they have to go into a special runoff of the top 2 candidates to garner that 51% in another election. So if you take the time to make sure to rank, as we are putting it out there, rank the red, unless of course it's for the Senate, then I would really consider Lisa Murkowski not being ranked at all onto that election, and I'd rank any other Republican in her place. But when it comes to ranked choice voting, your votes only count for those that you rank. So if I was to rank, I would put, say, Nick Begich as number 1, Sarah Palin as number 2, or Sarah Palin as number 1 and Nick Begich as number 2. And that is all the ranking I would do during the election, and I would leave the 3rd choice and 4th choice completely off of the ballot. I would not rank them. That way, if my first 2 choices don't garner 51% and a Democrat that is running in it doesn't garner 51%, we guarantee the top 2 vote getters are going to have to go into a special election. This is one way that we can defeat the ranked choice ballot method that they have out there, because the law states you have to have 51% to win the election or it goes into a special election. So we'll consider that when it comes to ranked choice voting and what you're planning on, how you're planning on doing that. And again, the primary elections have opened up today for early voting. You have less than 5 days to get a mail-in ballot to get signed up to have that sent to you if that's how you prefer to vote. So no matter which direction you're ready to go, that is what you need to do. Thursday, I will be at the Lusac Library. They're having a big presentation on ranked choice voting. I will be live streaming that. Friday, we've got Kevin McCabe and Senator Mike Shower doing theirs, and they are about ready to begin, so I will swap over to the other scene and plug in the camera.
And thank you to all of you that came out on this rainy night.
And
Oh, we don't have no sound? No. Caleb? Thank you. Okay, now we got it there. Well, thank you all for coming out on this rainy night. We're going to go ahead and get started. As always, I'll have my husband open up in prayer for you all. Stand, please.
For this cause I bow my knee before the Father of the Lord Jesus Christ, in whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that would grant unto us, according to your riches and glory, to be strengthened with might by the Spirit and the inner man. Christ may dwell in our hearts by faith, and we being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what's the breadth, the length, the depth, and the height, and to know the love of Christ that passes all understanding. And the Father is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think, according to the riches and glory by Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, continue. Stand, please. Will you lead us in the pledge? Will you stand? Stand and lead us in the pledge. Where's the flag? The flag's over there. Okay.
Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead and be seated. We have a few housekeeping things, and then we will get to our gubernatorial candidates. On the back table is these pass-out cards for the School of Government, and we came up with that because people will ask me about it, and after, I've gone on for 3 sentences, their eyes have glazed over by that time. And so you're welcome to take some of those if you want to and pass them out, or just have them in your pocket, or put them on your fridge to pray for, or however you prefer to use it. For today is the first day for early voting for the primary for August 16th and the general for the U.S. congressional race. And so I think Daniel's going to go ahead. You have it, do you, sir? Okay, so that's what the sample ballot looks like. And now on this ballot is not ranked choice. No, ranked choice, this one, okay? You're gonna vote just for one. You're gonna vote, you see it say that there. Then all the way down in the right-hand corner will be different districts for your state senator. This happens to be my district, which is District 25 in Palmer. And so, but that right-hand corner for each one of your districts will look differently. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on that? Yeah.
Suppose that we were... what would be the most convenient way for anybody here to find out the new number for their district if they haven't quite caught up with the redistricting yet?
Well, I think on this, let me go ahead and go to page 2, but on the website, they'll be able to show it in just a minute. And they have also said that they have sent out the new voter cards. How many of you have gotten your new voter? Has anybody gotten a new voter card? They were supposed to be sent out. Did I see something? You did. Anchorage get some, and see we don't get that stuff in the valley. No. So anyway, they were. I think the website said that they would have been sent out on starting to be sent out on July 22nd. So anyway, but that's supposed to be in what, we'll get to your question in just a minute.
Thank you.
So this is, the ballot has two sides. This is one, I guess I'll call it the front side, and that's where you're gonna vote just for one, for each one of the positions, okay? Anybody have any question about that? Okay, then will you put up the back side, please? Okay, now then this is the race for the person that is going to fill out Representative Don Young's short period of his term, which will go, I don't know how soon they will certify the election, but let's say they have it certified by September 1st, then it would be September 1st until January when the person has been elected and the election has been certified and they've been installed to serve the 2-year term. So on this one, you will use the ranked choice, okay? And in the mail, again, hopefully, you all got a postcard, something similar to this. I think everybody got the same one. You didn't. Have you voted in a recent election? Okay. Then I guess I would call the Division of Elections and ask them, you know, because this will tell you some of the mistakes. So, like, say you don't want to rank somebody in second place, but you rank somebody in first place. And of course, on this one, we don't have a fourth place because, as you know, El Gross dropped out. So anyway, that is, it gives you different scenarios here regarding if you do mark every, one person for all first, second, and third, and what then happens to your ballot and stuff. So be sure that you read and understand.
What happens if you vote for the same person 3 times?
Your ballot will be eliminated.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have
Because they won't know. Now you can vote for one person to be number 1 and don't rank anybody else. You can do that. But if say, let's see whose name's up there first, Nick's. So if in Nick you black first, second, third choice, then you just as if you'd never voted.
It's good for the first round and not the second round.
Okay, let her give you the mic, Brendan?
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be good for the first round and then it would be X'd out for the second?
No, it's my understanding it will not be counted even for the first round because they don't know for sure that maybe you really meant that you wanted them for second.
So last, I think it was summer or winter, forgot which one it was, but the Republican State House Caucus had in the match, so we had the division elections come to us, and they told us something very different because the law says something different. Their instructions, the division elections instructions are misleading. Because the truth is, if you on this ballot, on ranked choice, decided to do what Edna just said, rank first, second, third for the same person, what it means is what you just said. Your vote counts, but it only counts once. All right, that's correct. Your ballot does not get thrown out. Your ballot will get thrown out if you decide to rank, say, Nick and Sarah. If you try to vote for them both to be first choice, then you're what's called overvoting. Just like now, if you voted for 2 people for the same place, then it would get eliminated. The only point on doing that is if you're only willing to vote for one candidate and not rank somebody else, and you were worried about somebody else coming in afterwards and filling in an oval for you. But it makes no difference. If you vote for one and you leave the rest blank, or if you vote for one and rank the rest for the same person, it's the same difference.
Okay, well, good question, Brandon. Thank you for correcting me. Good deal. confusing enough without me giving you the wrong information. Pardon, sir?
That's why we need him as governor.
So anyway, so that's a help. Yeah.
One point just to make sure everybody realizes it. Just so everybody realizes, you don't have to vote for 3 people.
No.
Look under the special general election, it says rank as many as, or as few candidates as you like. Okay? So there has been some training in the Valley that suggested you need to vote for say 4 or 5 or whatever's on there. That is not true. So you can vote for 1 or 2, you don't have to vote for 3, right? Thank you.
Right. Yeah, because there is some where they're saying if you're a Republican and you want to vote Republican, that you just vote the red. Okay. Alrighty. Caleb, can you go to the main page of that website for the Division of Elections? And on there, I think there's a link on the very first page for you to check to see where either you vote or what district you're in. Okay, yeah, can you put that? Yeah, do voters. Now, okay. Can you see one there? My voter information, maybe? Okay, you see there. So you would enter your information and say, of course, you're not a robot, and then they will talk to you about your polling place, your, what does it say, registration status, okay? And that's just on the main page, okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions regarding, yeah, Christopher, can you wait till the mic comes to you?
Right, interesting. This isn't related to the governor's race, but a lot of people have gotten really confused with the ranked choice thing. It's really not that complicated. They're trying to game the system. It's really simple. You vote for your favorite candidate, and you rank according to your conscience allows. Or some would say rank the red. My obstacle with that would be, I will never rank Lisa Murkowski. I will never give her my vote, right? And I will never give, even some people from the RNC, you gotta be cautious, they'll tell you to rank the Democrats. I'm not gonna vote, I don't know of any Democrats running this year that I'd be willing to rank. So you pick your favorite candidate, the one you trust the most, and you rank the other ones according as much as your conscience would allow. You know, and if that's Lisa Murkowski, more power to you, but some of us won't be doing that.
There's somebody over here that, yeah.
Really simple.
Yeah, somebody said, before all ranked choice, they used to say, in the primary, you vote your heart, so who you would like to see win, no matter if they have a chance or not, and then in the general, you vote for who you think probably will win, and you can handle it, okay?
I always think of the senior citizen that doesn't have a computer or is not computer savvy when someone says, just go to the website, right? So Legislative Information Office in Wasilla, 376-3704, will provide your legislative district, especially with the reapportionment.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, anything else before we venture on to this?
I vote with my heart all the way.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then back on the table, I spent quite a bit of time here within the last few days of setting up debates that are going to be very similar to what is tonight, and it's going to be the debates for the individual districts and for not only House but for Senate. So there's copies back there. This is a full page of double, so they're cut back there, and we will be sending out a text with this. So we don't have a class next week, and then the following Monday we won't have a class either. But the class is, even if it's pouring rain like it is tonight or it's snowing, you need to be out waving signs that night for your candidate. And if you think, I don't even know where to go, go to the parks and the Palmer-Wasilla Highway corner Your favorite candidate will be there with signs, and they will give you a sign. You don't need to take and worry about, you know, the fact of trying to find out where they are, or if you have a candidate sign in your yard and you have a close, busy intersection, you know, go there and just hold up the sign. So for the next 2 Monday nights, we will not be having class. But then on Tuesday, the night of the election, and some of you maybe have already made plans to go into Anchorage, where they're going to have what they call a watch party. What that is the election watch party, and we will have one of those here. And as far as I know, I don't know of anybody else that's having anything. And it won't start until 8 o'clock, because up to that time, again, either you have to be sure you voted and you've been out waving signs, you know, probably not till 8 o'clock, but at least probably 7:45 or something. And so then and I'll just go through this quickly, but then on the 22nd, we'll have District 28. And, you know, the other thing I want to encourage you when you see this schedule and you think, well, I'm in District 25. Why would I want to hear from the people in District 28? Because whoever wins in District 28 has as much power down there in the legislature as your candidate, as the person you vote for in District 25. And so you want to, and the majority of the people have, you know, if you have family members or friends or, you know, acquaintances or anything in all of the area throughout the valley. So I would encourage you to do that. Then on August 29th will be District 27. Oh, let me go back to 28. 28 will be, the candidates are Rachel Allen, Steve Bernard, Jesse Sumner, and Jessica Wright. And they all have confirmed that they will be here. Then on the 29th is District 27. And we have 2 of those candidates here tonight, Brandon and David. You 2 want to just stand up? And then Stu Graham is not here tonight. He serves on the City of Wasilla City Council, and so he has a City Council meeting tonight. But the 29th happens to be the 5th Monday of this month, so he is free. So, and then on Labor Day, we won't have a class. And then on the 12th, we'll have District 30, which will be Kevin McCabe and Doyle Holmes. And then on the 19th, we will have the members running for the City of Palmer and the City of Wasilla. In the City of Palmer, the mayor does not have competition, and 2 of the races do not have competitions, but the 2 3-year term has 3 people running, and there will only be 2 that will be elected for that. And in Wasilla, they have 2 city council people that are seats that are being held, races being held, and there is 1 of them that has opposition. So, and again, you know, you think, well, I don't live in the City of Wasilla or City of Palmer, but I think a lot of us spend a lot of sales tax money in the City of Wasilla. So that, you know, listening to what those council people have to say is important. And then on the 26th of September, we have Senate District N, which is Scott Clayton, David Wilson, who is the incumbent, and Stephen Wright. We are still waiting for confirmation from Governor Dunleavy, Charlie Pierce, and Doug Massey. As all of you know, 2 weeks ago, or let's see, last week I guess it was, we had Senator Schauer here. We had extended an invitation to Doug Massey, who is his opponent, and asked him if he could come, if he would come, and we'd have a debate similar to what we're having tonight. And he had a conflict with his schedule. So I reached out again to him and just asked if there was a date that would be available. I think that's going to be maybe a little bit of a contested race. And so it would be good to hear from both of them side by side. So again, that is back there. Eric has taken a picture of it, so CJ will be texting it out to everybody, but if you want a paper copy, then that's there. So, yeah.
All the meetings you are referencing are being held here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everything will be held here.
They didn't hear that question back there.
Oh,
He
all
was
the
just saying
meetings.
that all the names that she was referencing will be here at this church.
Yeah, every meeting, even the watch power party will be. Linda has a question over there.
I just want to make sure that you said the watch party was going to be here. Did you mean
Yes.
this building?
Yes,
Here? Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. And I don't know, I really haven't decided whether we'll do food or if we'll just watch everything, you know, on the TV or whatever. If we do food, we'll do it in the side room, so, you know, we don't have to clean the whole carpet all over the place, you know. And of course, you know, you don't, that's not mandatory. We may have some speakers that haven't gone into Anchorage, so we're still developing that a little bit, maybe on some questions like on the mining caucus that goes on, or election integrity or something like that. So, alrighty. So I asked earlier if Christopher and Bruce had a preference whether they should be on the stage or whether they should be down here, and if they should walk around or have chairs or whatever. So we'll start out, and neither one of them were dead set on doing it a certain way. So we'll let them come up, and this is going to be the format. They will have 3 to 5 minutes, each one of them, to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their program. I will then ask a couple of questions, and they'll each answer that. Then we'll open it up for questions from all of you. And then when that's done, we will give them 1 to 3 minutes to wrap it up. So that will be the format for tonight, and that will be the format for all of the debates, because at first I thought you had your hand up, you were scratching your head. And we're trying to be as consistent as possible during these times, because I know probably, you know, different people favor different candidates, and so we're trying to keep a very level playing field regarding, because it is a great task, and anybody that puts their hat in the ring to run for office needs to be respected and applauded, even if you don't agree with some of their positions, and that's why we have voting. So, you know, you get to make that choice then. And I know all of you will be respectful and to everybody, and if you don't agree with me, you do not need to clap. It's not mandatory, but you will not be allowed to boo either, okay? So with that, gentlemen, if you'll come forth, and then you can start out one way and then change or whatever, and I'll leave it up to the two of you who will start off first.
Alphabetical order.
There you go.
Either way, I don't care. So, Edna, were we doing questions to each other tonight?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, so we got...
After I do my 2 questions, then you'll get each.
Okay, so I'll be asking Bruce a question. I wasn't sure if we were doing that. Very good. So many of you know me. Some of you don't. A little bit of background. I'm a 3rd-generation Alaskan. I was born here in Alaska. Where I come from is my actually 4th-generation immigrant. My grandpa immigrated here from the Reich Republic, where his parents immigrated here. And then he again fought in World War II for our side of the aisle. But I've been very blessed to live here, and you know, I'm passionate about Alaska and our potential future. My wife and I, Haley, can you stand up? You probably met the most amazing person in the world, my wife, Haley, and we have. She's my much better half. And then we have 4 little boys. One of them's running around here. I think the other 3 in the nursery. But I'm very blessed, passionate about Alaska. You know, my wife has served overseas in special needs orphanages in China. I've been to India, been around the country, and I'm not just from Alaska. This is my home. This is where I want to live. I'm here by birth and by choice. I'm passionate about our future. I'm a born-again evangelical Christian. It's the core of who I am. It's where my philosophical position with government comes from. I believe, like our founders did, like they said in the Declaration of Independence, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then the founders told us the purpose of government. Like it says in Scripture, that to secure these rights, they said, governments are instituted among men. And that's the purpose of government. The government doesn't give you rights. It secures the rights that have been given to you by God. That's the purpose of government. Not to tell you how to wash your hands. Not to tell you how to not sneeze on people. Not to tell you how to run your business. The purpose of government is to create the rule of law, to create a fair playing field, and to protect the innocent. And I got involved at a very young age. Some criticize my age being young in politics, but I've actually been doing this for almost 2 decades. Political organizing. It's taught me some important lessons, which I'll maybe work into some of the questions later on. And learned a lot of important things about what's wrong with the state, what needs to be fixed. I think I can answer some of the questions in a nice way, hopefully, about where Dunleavy went wrong and where I would be different. Because the truth is, if you lined Dunleavy up on a stage with me and Bruce and the other candidates, you'd probably find, the conservative candidates, you'd probably find we agree 90% of the time. But I'm telling you that's not relevant. Because politicians will tell you over and over again their conservative position on an issue. But the question is not what you say your position is, the question is what are you going to do? What have you done on those issues? And yes, the governor's hamstrung by the legislature, but there's a lot he can do. There's a reason our incumbent governor is facing multiple conservative challengers. Because when I was getting, and I won't go into those details, but so that is the core of who I am. That is where my positions stem from when it comes to any issue. I got involved at a young age in politics, doing a lot of organizing in the Republican Party. I got involved heavily in the right to life issue because I cared passionately about justice and stopping the genocide of the preborn. Spent most of my life volunteering between doing private sector work and then on the side doing volunteer work for Right to Life. Then I got hired and did full-time work running the organization. And that's my passion. In addition to fighting for economic freedom and liberty for Alaskans, healthcare freedom, my passion is ending the genocide of the preborn. And right now, with the overturn of Roe v. Wade, we have an incredible opportunity. No longer, how are we doing on time? Half a minute left? No longer is the pretense exist. The politicians can't act. And remember I said pretense. Because abortion was legalized in Alaska, not by the courts, but by the legislature. And it has been a pretense that we can't act to protect the preborn. And now that Roe v. Wade's been overturned and the whole foundation of our state's pro-abortion case law has been ripped out, the pretense is gone for not acting. And it's not enough to say that, oh, we're going to do a constitutional amendment and it's up for the people to decide. The job of the governor is to protect the innocent, to protect and defend his oath of office. And the beginning of the Constitution says that this Constitution, the opening words of Article 1, Section 1, this Constitution is dedicated to the principle of all persons having natural right to life. That is the opening words of the state Constitution in Article 1, Section 1. It's not enough to say that nothing's going to change and I'm going to fund adoption. It's not enough. Every day, more babies are dying in Alaska, and we're paying for it. And we keep electing legislators who say we don't want to pay for it. And we keep electing governors who say, I don't like paying for it either, but I'm going to go obey the will of the courts. That's not good enough. And later on we'll talk about why it's not good enough. I think that's my 5 minutes.
Let's see if this thing's going to work. Here we go. No, it's not working. Hold on. Yeah, let's do it that way. Everybody hear me okay? So, I'm Bruce Walden, for those of you who have not heard of me. I was the first Republican certified to run in this race. We've been kept at arm's length. That's all right. I understand that's how it works in politics. You don't want to let the new guy in. I'd also like to say that Chris is my opponent in this race. He is not my enemy. And although, to quote George Bush, I can't wish you success because I want to win, I do wish him well, and I pray for him and his family every night. I pray for them.
Thank you. We really need it.
We all do. We need it real bad. And trust me, I know I've got 4 kids too. We were talking about that earlier. Folks, I came to Alaska in 1981. I chose Alaska. I came here. I was serving Uncle Sam. And I decided that I liked serving Uncle Sam. So I continued on a 22 career in the military and other things that I did for our country in wartime and in peacetime. I got 2 wars under my belt, 4 deployments under my belt. Folks, if you're watching the news right now and you're seeing what's happening with this gentleman that lives in the White House, we've been sold down the river. If you look at the U.S. House of Representatives, they just voted last week that we're going to take all your guns now because the gun that I typically carry on my hip would be prohibited under the law that they just passed. Of course, it's got to go through the Senate, and it'll easily pass Biden's desk if he can find the paper to write it on, you know. And then it'll have to go through the Supreme Court. Now, here's the thing. Nothing is law until it's been tried in court. Folks, I think they'll defeat it there, but we got to be very prayerful. Very, very prayerful. But they're coming after your individual rights. If they take away your right to keep and bear arms, the rest of your life, the rest of your rights are forfeit at that time. Have we ever seen this before in history? Ever hear of a gentleman by the name of Adolf Hitler? Ever hear of a gentleman by the name of Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong? Ever hear of these people? The first thing they do is disarm the public. First thing they do, disarm the public, because then you dare not stand up. I have a little thing that I wear on my collar right here, on my lapel. It says, Dia Presso Libre. Anybody know what that means? Anybody know what it stands for? Dia Presso Libre. I know one gentleman does. It's literally the Latin. People say it means to free the oppressed. That's not literally what it means. De Oppresso Liber means out of oppression, liberty. I was a Special Forces soldier, what you'd commonly call a Green Beret, and I went to the other man's country, and we raised their troops to overthrow bad government or to secure good government, depending on the situation. I know the price of your freedom and my freedom. The first man to die in this war, you might have heard of this gentleman by the name of Nate Chapman. He was a friend of mine. The first man to die in this war was my friend. I've had a lot of friends that have died since then for this country. A lot of us bled for this country. My son grew up and then served in this same war that old dad served in. I know the price of our freedom. I have a lot of friends that went over there and died. I had a lot of friends that went over there and only died part of the way. Any Vietnam vets in the crowd? How many vets we got here today? Raise your hand if you're a veteran. How many of you thought, yes, give them a hand. How many of you, when you were serving in uniform, thought that you'd see a day when this country would embrace communism? I would have never believed it. I would have never. I fought in the last, it won't be the last, but the last one so forth. The last time we fought against communism in Grenada. People laugh about it. Let me tell you something. A Cuban bullet will kill you just as dead as a Nazi bullet. That's the first place I ducked bullets. I ducked bullets for this country, and I shot back for my country. I was hit with IEDs, hit with mortar rounds. Not me personally, thank God. But I was there. I know what the price of our freedom is. I paid the price for our freedom. My son paid the price for our freedom. And I have a lot of brothers both wearing green berets and every other type of headgear that you can imagine that lay down their lives for your freedom. I know the price. You better know that I take it very, very seriously. Today, the Iranians said we can now hit New York City with a nuclear bomb. A few years ago, when Obama was president, I was warning, this guy is going to get us into a nuclear war with Iran, because he was saying, well, we've got to let them develop their nuclear program so they can control it. What kind of sense is that? Now they have the bomb, and they've already proven that they can launch satellites to orbit the Earth. You're just as much danger with them as you ever were with the Soviet Union. Folks, you're entering a war. In 1998, I started warning my team about what's going on with communist China. How they're expanding the reach. Now they're buying our own country out, and people like Governor Walker sold us down the river. And the guy that we got right now has done nothing to stop it. You can hate me for saying that, but you can't prove me wrong, and I dare you to try. You've been sold out, folks. In times like these, you had better have a wartime governor that knows what is going on, has seen it, has warned about it. If any of you all reading my Facebook post here over the last 4 years, there are 8 different steps to unconventional warfare. That's what I did for a living for 15 of my 22 years. And as each phase went by, I said, we're now at phase 4, phase 5. Phase 8 was the total takeover by these communists in November 2 years ago. It was a coup d'etat. You had better have a wartime president that knows how to lead in combat, and I have. As Chris was talking about the abortion issue, somebody justified to me how the taking of a human life, how that can be justified. An innocent human life. I understand murderers. I understand that. But is there a more accurate description of innocent life than a baby in the mother's womb? And going back to the gun issue, we have that right that Chris was talking about, the God-given right to self-preservation. And when you see the x-rays of these doctors sucking a little baby out of the womb, it fighting for its very life, that proves that point perfectly. We were given by God the right to self-defense and self-preservation. And these people have voted it away. God is watching this, folks. And I'll say it very plainly. I too am an evangelical Christian. I was raised that way. My folks were Appalachian Christians. They didn't know how to doubt. When they prayed, they got results, boy, let me tell you, because they didn't know how to doubt. But the Lord said, He said, if you pray with faith, but without doubt, you can say this mountain, let it be moved, it'll be moved. Folks, we have poked God in the eye. This country has been poking God in the eye. And I get the feeling He's getting a little bit tired of it. You know, this country isn't even mentioned in the Bible. Show me where it's mentioned. He could speak us out of existence just like that. We don't turn to Him with our whole hearts. So you can't govern that. That's true, but I can sure pray about it. You better believe I can pray about it. Folks, we're in perilous times. And I'm not trying to say that to scare you. I'm saying it because it's the truth. China, Iran, Russia, right next door. You'd better have somebody that knows how to. And what's more than I speak Russian. When it comes to selling our stuff in Korea, I speak Korean because I went to school in Korea. I can talk to those people eyeball to eyeball and make sense to them. Think about it, folks. Our styles of leadership might be different, but I respect this gentleman right here.
Okay, thank you. So, Sid, you want to, go ahead and get your water. Okay. So, Daniel, is that one working? Yeah, should be working, I guess. Is it? You want to go ahead and try it, sir? Yeah. No? Yeah. Okay, all right. So my first question is, I think all of us agree that the federal overreach in our state has been astounding. And so my question is, which one of the federal overreach policies would you tackle first as governor of the state of Alaska?
Yeah, I'll be glad to take that because I've already done it. I don't know how many of our little blogs that the president said, the guy living in the White House sees, but we do blogs every couple of days. And I looked him right in his beady little squinty eyes and said, you're not getting our guns. You're not getting our Alaska's guns. We live 2.5 miles away from Russia. We live right over the horizon from China. Folks, I can say this. I can't prove it to you right now because there's things that forbid me. There are Chinese Special Operations Forces in the state of Alaska. As I'm speaking to you right now, I've seen them. I know the people who busted them. I wrote a book a few years ago entitled The Kings of the East. And it's based on, I write those books from the Special Forces intelligence point of view. Because that's where I live. That's who I am. Sometimes I wish I was still there. But in this book, there were guerrilla forces from China that were attacking targets here in Alaska. Why? Why did they attack us? Why did Japan attack us in 1942? History major, somebody. It's because they wanted to draw our eye off what was going on in the South Pacific. That's what China's going to do. There's going to be guerrilla operations here as they try to retake Taiwan or take Taiwan. The pretense as of today, maybe yesterday, they're talking to Nancy Pelosi and said, if this woman comes to China, there will be dire consequences. This is a pretense, folks. So you better be armed and you better be ready because it's coming on us right now. This isn't something that in the future. This is here now. They're here now. I know people that have busted them in Anchorage now. The right to keep and bear arms right now is under a major threat. And I've told Biden straight, like I said, right to his face online. I mean, I've never met the man, don't really care to. But straight up, you're not getting our guns. I don't care what your laws say. We've got a guaranteed right to keep and bear arms, and you're just not going to get them. Simple as that.
Okay, so that's a hard question for me because there's not one. There's dozens of federal overreaches that we're going to stand against. But I think it's the wrong question. Because the question is not which federal overreach are you going to stand against. It's how. Because everybody in Alaska decries the federal overreach. We've been giving the shaft from before statehood. With our statehood compact, we were trying to think of polite language to use. We've been shafted from the beginning. And we've been cheated from the beginning. And even the corrupt, unconstitutional statehood compact that we have, we're still getting the shaft. We're still ignoring the contract. But here's the deal. And here's one of the huge, I think the biggest, when I go through the difference between myself and the governor, the biggest difference between me and the governor is on this. And it is my oath of office is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Alaska. These documents, right here. And as governor, added to that, is the faithful execution of the laws. My oath of office is not to protect and defend court opinions, or to protect and defend the opinions of the former vice president, or the resident-in-chief, whichever you prefer calling him. Or even federal law. You know, it's interesting that when marijuana was on the ballot in Alaska, we debated the issue, we debated the merits of the policy, and we voted on it. Nobody cared that we're in violation of federal law. In the legislature, the majority of the garbage that comes across my desk, the majority of the legislation is actually from, not the Democrats, it's from the administration. It's from the swamp running the state government. And with the governor's signature on it. And they are bills from the bureaucrats to comply with federal strings. Either federal purse strings or some new federal edict. And we're like this marionette puppet being played. And that's our problem. We've forged our own chains. So the question is not which, for me, it's not which is the first one. I think it probably will be on the guns. If that legislation makes it all the way through and is signed into law, it's clearly in violation of the Second Amendment. It's clearly in violation of Article 1, I think it's Section 19 of our state constitution, which is our own version of the Second Amendment, which is very strong. It's even stronger. The current approach, and the approach we've had for decades, is to file a lawsuit in federal court, which is decent, it's good. But you're asking for relief from a federal judge who works for the federal government, is paid by the federal government, from federal overreach. But my oath of office is protected in the Constitution. And so my approach would be to tell the current resident of the White House to go pound sand, that if the BATFE comes into Alaska, they will be arrested by state troopers. Same thing applies to resource development. So that is the job of the governor, to interpose, to obey the Constitution a lot quicker, and we're going to issue a permit, and we're going to tell the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA to go pound sand, because they don't possess the constitutional authority to tell us how to run our state. We have something called the 10th Amendment, and my oath is to protect it. My oath of office is not to protect and defend the EPA and their bureaucrats. It's not. They don't have the authority. But what they do, they play this like a marionette player. And I would caution you, this is also a question, I know I'm going off script here, but you should ask of your legislative candidates. When Sarah Palin was governor, she didn't veto nearly enough, but she did veto something very important. After she ran for vice president, came back to Alaska as governor, there was a stimulus package. And that stimulus package had international purse string, the purse strings were including, and I'm sorry I'm going along on this answer, international building codes that Alaskans were going to have to comply with. And she said, hey guys, we all want federal money, but this is too much. And you know what happened? The Republicans in the Alaska legislature, led by, thankfully, former Representative Mike Hawker, organized themselves into special session and held a special session in Juneau. And I was there fighting them. I was there with about 200 folks outside protesting what they were doing. And they had met at the Egan Center to override her veto. And you have to understand how significant that is. The governor's power of restraint when it comes to the budget is extraordinary. It doesn't take a normal 2/3. It takes 3/4 of the legislature to override the governor's veto. And they did so by 1 vote. And I have hope, because a lot of the folks I see getting elected now, I think the legislature is actually more conservative than it was 10 years ago. It's not controlled by Republicans, but it's more conservative, at least in the House. I've seen some hopeful signs. But we have to be asking our legislators as well, when they're running. We have to be asking them, are you willing to stand for the Constitution and for liberty and say no to federal money when they're in conflict? Because sometimes they're in conflict. Because the truth is, when it comes to enforcement, the federal government has limited power. They use us to enforce the violation of liberty on you with the purse strings. And we don't know how to say no. So I'm sorry I went long, but that was kind of one of my hot topics. It's the reason our logo is the Gadsden snake on top of Alaska. Don't tread on us.
So my second question is, what do you anticipate will be your first executive order that you issue and sign?
That's a very easy one. And I've been saying this since day one. How many of you believe that the last vote was, pretty kosher, everything was hunky-dory, no problems with that last vote, 2020, when ballot measure 2 became law? Ballot measure 2 may put me in the governor's mansion, but it's wrong. It's an abomination. This mess we're talking about up here, you think that was designed to make the elections better? Or do you think, like I do, that was made to steal elections? How about election month, folks? How many people dig that, huh? I had a representative, no, it wasn't Mr. Kurka, who said, I think this is great. Early voting is just wonderful. And I said, well, yeah, what that's designed to do, madam, is to allow them to steal a vote. That's all it's for. I also had to explain to this lady why, about cards and stuff, and it's interesting. This ballot measure 2 was written in such a way, I know people who are very conservative who voted my lieutenant governor, she's in Soldotna, and say, I want a hand recount of the 2020 election. And if that means that in 2022, I have to go through the primary system, that's what we wanted to start with. That's been working in this country since we've had parties. I had to explain this to a guy here not too long ago. He said, why can't I vote in such and such? I said, okay, let's say you're in a bowling team. You're a bowling club, and you're the president. And I'm the president of my bowling club, or let's say you're the president of our bowling club. Is it okay for me to come over and vote for who you get as your president of your bowling club? Of course not. The parties are a private organization. So if I can do that, I got to be able to go to the Socialists, the Alaska Independence parties, blah, 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 right down the line. What happened was a steal, and it was for that purpose. Now, I've talked about this before. When things are counted in their district and they're hand counted, and you have a video camera right over their head, looking right down at the ballot. You don't see the name, you just see the ballot. But you can log on to see how the votes are going, so you know that if somebody tries to pull something slick, you're going to catch them at it. If I had my way, you'd have one of those groovy little computer-generated names floating right over their head. So as you're looking at, if they try to pull something, you know who did it, when they did it. I will call for an immediate hand recount. That's assuming they didn't already destroy all those ballots. I'm betting that they did. But we're going to change the way we do business. How many people here know how the Bible was translated in 1611? You know the process? Anybody? Ma'am? So, the way I understand it, I wasn't there, I'm not quite that old, but the way I understand it, King James said, look, I want my people to be able to read the Word of God. So, I want you dudes to come in here and translate this, and they'd sit there, 2 guys at a table, and 1 guy watching them while they translated 1 word for the next, 1 word for the next. When they got done with it, they would hand it to the next table, and it went on that way with prayer going on, I'm sure, all the time. If we did that with our ballots, If we counted every single ballot in the state of Alaska in one place, if you had 30 tables set up that way, taking the order.
Thank you, Bruce. Are we going to talk about election integrity later? I'm sure.
Questions people have.
Okay, I'm sure Sherman will talk about it. But I want to thank you because besides myself and Paul, you're the first candidate, I think for in the legislative office or for governor, besides yourselves, who said we need to go back to a hand count. So thank you, because that is absolutely critical. And unfortunately, I believe the ballots will have been destroyed or already destroyed for 2020. David and I sponsored a amendment in the legislature in the budget process. Unfortunately, it failed. That would have paid for a forensic audit of the 2020 and the 2022 election. Because the fraud is not new. I was part of it. In fact, that's how I met my wife's family, is the Jim Miller campaign. So, how many minutes? My wife's going to keep me timed now because I don't have a bearing of time. And I go on and on. Okay, so my two I'm sorry, so sorry, Andy. My first two executive actions as governor. I have one of them on our day one agenda. I don't know if it's back there. We're going to update that, and I'm adding a new one. The new one is this. I'm going to